What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show. And today I want to pose a little bit of conspiracy theory with you guys, but also talk about something that could likely happen. And that is, just like the title of this video says, what would happen if the coronavirus ended up in prison? Now, with the fact that this latest sickness is pretty much causing major panic throughout the world. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I am super scared about this thing taking over the entire world and causing some sort of a worldwide pandemic and possibly leaving the world just like that TV show, The Walking Dead. Folks, I can only imagine that being locked up during a time like this has got to be just that much more terrifying. And before we go any further with this video, I want to read to you guys this headline that I just ran across that says, lawyer for American held in Iran alleges coronavirus is detected in his prison ward. And what the story would go on to say is that there's a prisoner pretty close to this American who's in prison in Iran who has tested positive for the coronavirus. And I can't even imagine what this American locked up over there in this other country has got to be going through and the precautions that he is probably trying to take in an effort to try to do all that he can to make sure that he does not contract this deadly virus. And so with all of that, I want to pose a question to all of you and ask you, what do you think that it would be like to be locked up with this damn near worldwide pandemic taking place? You're seeing this all over the news, in the newspapers. What do you think prisoners are thinking about all of this? And do you think that they're even taking this serious? Well, I can all but guarantee you that a lot of them probably are. And in fact, I want to use a little bit of my own experience being locked up to try to help illustrate just what a situation like this could be. And I'm going to use two different examples. The first example that I want to use is, while locked up during the last time that I was in prison, serving 7 years, I can remember when a sickness broke out in the prison and ended up in the dorm that I was housed in with over 100 prisoners in that dorm. And we ended up on quarantine and other buildings ended up on quarantine as well. We were locked in this building with this sickness right there in this housing unit with us. And this was a damn scary time to be serving some time. I can remember one dude who had this sickness, whatever the hell it was, a guy that slept something like 4 or 5 bunks away from mine. And this dude was laid up in his bunk all the way up under the covers, shaking so bad that it damn near looked like this dude was having a seizure. And as this was taking place, all I could think to myself was, what if I contract what this is? And what if this ends up killing this guy and they don't know what it is? We're locked up in here and we're pretty much cut off from the entire world. What if this sickness breaks out in the entire housing unit and we all die in here? And when you think about a major sickness taking place in the world, and you think about where this sickness is going to affect people the most at, hospitals and schools probably come to mind, any kind of shopping environments where a lot of people are going to be gathered together. But in most of those places in particular, they try to keep those places relatively clean, if not absolutely clean, like a hospital, maybe a school. I don't know too much about like a Walmart or a big store. But you got to imagine, those are like cleaner type of places. And when you think about the dirtiest type of a place where a lot of people are gathered, jails and prisons probably top that list. And there are so many other things that come into play in terms of being locked up in some sort of an institution. And either you're dealing with a sickness or there's a sickness that's spreading throughout that jail or prison. You got to think about the medical inside of a jail or prison. And even if you've never been inside a place like that, you see it all the time on the news and on prison YouTube channels and how they talk about the medical treatment of prisoners and how it's basically not that great. When you get sick, you got to fill out a sick call slip. It could take anywhere from 24 hours, maybe even a week to get seen, depending on how many other people are sick and are ahead of you to be seen by some sort of a nurse or some sort of a doctor. And then when you finally get seen by somebody, they're probably just going to give you a Tylenol and some sort of cough syrup. Matter of fact, when you're locked up, they try to cure everything with Tylenol. And it's not very often that you're going to be getting taken out to any sort of a real doctor or real hospital, unless you're damn near on death's door. And it's not even guaranteed at that point that you get taken out to go see any kind of real hospital or doctor. So not only do you got probably borderline inadequate medical treatment, there's not a lot of things that you're able to purchase from commissary Tylenol, maybe some cough syrup, some Tums that are going to further help you if you do in fact get sick. And then the cleanliness of a place like that definitely comes into play. You're talking about a place where staph infections can often run rampant, sicknesses can spread like that, germs are everywhere, and you're trying to do everything that you can in an effort to minimize the germs, washing your hands, covering up your face with a shirt. You ain't gonna get no type of a face mask while you're locked up. And you might even go to the damn hole or get in trouble if you're trying to tie a shirt around your face. They might be thinking you in there trying to rob somebody. So to say that a jail or a prison is the worst place to think about a sickness like the coronavirus breaking out in, that sort of seems like a major understatement, if you ask me. Now, getting back to this time that I was locked up and we were on quarantine and this guy was having these seizure-like convulsions, shaking 4 or 5 bunks down from me, luckily, that dude didn't die. But prior to us knowing if he was or if he wasn't, a lot of other people would end up getting sick in there as well. And with every new person that got sick, the fear and the panic grew that much worse by all of us other prisoners who were praying that we weren't going to get sick. I cannot emphasize enough that this was a super scary time to be locked up. But again, maybe after about 14 days, I'm pretty sure it was like 2 weeks, we would finally come off of quarantine. I remember during this time, they were bringing the nurse in. There's not much the nurse was doing. Tylenol and a little shot of cough syrup. Hope you get better. So yeah, luckily, that situation didn't end up a lot worse than it did. Now, I said I was going to share with you guys 2 things. I'm actually going to make it 3. And before I get to the third, let me share with you this other thing that I just thought about as I'm sharing all of this with you. I can remember a time when I got super sick, the sickest that I have ever been while locked up in prison. And it wasn't no coronavirus, hell, I don't know, maybe it was. It could have been some swine flu, bird flu, H1N1, whatever that disease was. I was very sick. It probably wasn't none of those, but I'm just using those as examples of other sicknesses that have been seen throughout the world. And hell, during that time, I was thinking I might have one of those things. I had just gotten to the very last prison I was at. I was in a building, building 1. It's where all of the new prisoners come to when you're being classified. You stay in that building for something like 2 weeks to a month. And what I used to refer to that building as building 1 was sort of like a bus terminal, because you've got people coming in from all over the state. You want to talk about a building that probably had the highest likelihood of being completely germ infested? It was this bus terminal, building 1. And no sooner than I ended up getting shipped to this prison in building 1, it was within the first week that I ended up so sick. I couldn't do anything. And I carried this sickness for like 10 days, writing my sick call slip, trying to see a doctor. I think it took like 3 days for me to even see anybody. Tylenol, a little shot of cough syrup. Didn't do nothing for me. I'm ordering Tylenol off of the commissary, hoping I can break whatever this is that I've got. I have never been in more fear in my life while locked up than during that time. Feeling like, and I've been in some pretty sketchy situations in prison, but never been more scared than that time in particular that I was gonna die in prison. And now you've got this coronavirus that is pretty much taking over the world, is what it's seeming like at this point. I can remember when this thing was first brought to our attention via the news. People weren't making a big deal about this. Oh, the regular flu kills 10,000 people a year. But every day, as this thing continues to grow and get more crazy, you've got South Korea declaring a war on coronavirus. That damn near sounds like martial law is getting ready to take place. But every day as this thing continues to escalate, stock markets going up and down, people are getting scared. And again, just think about if you were locked up in prison during this, or like this American over here in Iran locked up where they've already got a positive case of this coronavirus. Think about how quickly this thing is probably going to spread. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, this is a time that I am very glad that I'm not locked up. I'm thankful for my freedom every day. Sometimes I might take it for granted. But during a situation and a crisis like this, crises, I think I said that the right way, I'm pretty grateful for my freedom. So this third thing that I want to share with you is definitely more about what would happen if the coronavirus broke out in prison. And it's kind of crazy, But I want to use this, and this is another thing that I was thinking about and experiencing while I was locked up. But I kid you not, while serving time and at every jail and prison I was at, I was always trying to figure out some sort of an escape plan. Now, I'd be lying if I sat here and said that I wasn't just thinking about that in terms of, well, what if some kind of a sickness breaks out across the entire world and we've got martial law? You know, I was also thinking about that in case I ever really did want to escape. You know, almost going as far as to actually try to devise a plan. And in some places where I was locked up at, I was realizing there was absolutely no way that I would be able to ever get out of there. But at the level 1s that I was at and the level 2s that I was at, you know, there definitely was a way. You know, if you really had to try to figure out a way to do so. But think about prisoners at your higher level prisons. There's not going to be a way for them to get out. And like I always used to consider this like a doomsday preparation. What if the world ends and we're locked up? What's going to happen to the prisoners who are locked up if this thing does take over the entire world? Are they going to be let out? Or are they going to be forgotten about? And then what if this thing does break out inside of a prison? What are they going to do with them prisoners? You think them guards are going to stick around so they can contract that disease? Nah. They're probably going to be getting left right there where they are. And to anybody who's locked up and is watching this video, I'm really sorry to probably put the fear of God in you with these type of thoughts. But it's crazy to think about this type of stuff. I can remember being at the last level 2 prison that I was at. And you know, we would laugh and joke about how we could get out. Well, we could steal the gate or crash through the fence, but we got to be outside of the building first. And you know, I don't want to go any further with the ways that we had talked about getting out of the building if we had to. But trust me, if there was ever a need, it probably could happen. Probably. It's not even a guarantee. It all looks good and sounds good while you're laughing and joking about it. But what if you actually need to? What if you feel like your life is on the line and you could die in prison because of the coronavirus? And then you got to throw this in here as well. You know, during this time, as we're laughing and joking about, you know, the hows, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, the what ifs, I guess is a better way to put it. You know, rumors will start milling around prisons and jails. Inmate.com, the inmate grapevine. People are going to start talking. Yeah, you know if this coronavirus break out in the prison, they're going to gas all of us. Yeah, they got gas hooked up to the HVAC. And they're going to just blow that right through the vents and kill us all. And that's not anything made up at all. That was actually something that, you know, I heard being said while I was locked up. Not only if a sickness broke out, a worldwide pandemic, and the entire world was suffering from coronavirus, not only was it something like that, but also, you know, they said this type of stuff if war ever broke out on U.S. soil. You know, if war ever break out in the U.S., they're killing us. Or they're going to send us to the front lines. Shit, send me to the front lines. I'd rather go try to die fighting for something than to get killed for nothing. You know, just like how I'm scared about the coronavirus, and some people probably still ain't taking this thing too serious. And hopefully, you know, they do find a cure for this thing and they're able to get this under control pretty quickly. But just like a lot of people are scared, and it's affecting things like the stock market out here in the free world, I can't even imagine, nor would I ever want to experience what it's like to be locked up during a time like this. So to continue with the thought of what would happen if something like the coronavirus broke out in prison, well, one thing is all but guaranteed. It's going to spread pretty quickly. You know, this is a virus that is killing people, so a lot of prisoners are going to die. Medical is probably not even going to want to deal with the prisoners. They don't even want to deal with the prisoners, it seems like, on a regular basis, let alone with something as scary as this taking place up inside of the prison. If they do see you, they're going to see you in probably like a full hazmat suit when you ain't got no type of protection whatsoever. Prisoners going to be locked down. They're going to be forced to figure this thing out for themselves and take whatever kind of prison-made hacks and contraptions they can put together in an effort to try to protect themselves from getting this sickness. Shirts around the face, washing your hands as much as you possibly can. What's going to happen when the soap runs out? Staff's not going to want to be coming up in the prison. So even if you weren't going to be on lockdown already because of quarantines and isolation, trying to separate this sickness from the rest of the staff and the other prisoners, you know, there's a good possibility you're going to be on lockdown anyways because of a shortage of staff. Violence is definitely going to play into it. Prisoners are going to probably be in there trying to damn near kill each other. Get away from me. Don't touch me. You already can't be touching nobody while you're locked up. That's a sign of disrespect. Let alone touch something that belongs to somebody. And there's a fear that you might have the coronavirus. Now, I want to say this as well, and this is kind of off topic or kind of off track. But there's probably some laughing and joking going on in prison behind this as well. You know, because not all prisoners take this type of stuff seriously, and then you got a lot of prisoners who ain't got nothing to lose. You might hear a prisoner cough. Oh, damn, dog, you got that corona, don't you? You got that corona without no lime. Some prisoners might actually be making light of the situation, while others might hear you cough and might just rock off on you. Boom! Don't be doing no coughing without covering up your mouth. Could be even worse. And you know, the violence will probably go even further than that. You're going to definitely have uprisings, riots. Let the coronavirus break out in a jail or a prison, they try to put them people on quarantine. Ain't nobody going to be wanting to sit up in no quarantined isolation inside of a cell block housing unit or cell, locked in there with somebody who's got this thing, if that does happen. Folks, I just wanted to share this conspiracy theory type of an idea and video with you guys. And I'm sure it's probably kind of a scary video to be doing at the same time. It's scary for me to think about this. I'm out here in the free world. I'm scared of this thing. And again, you know, to be locked up during a time like this, there's never a good time to be locked up. But this most certainly is probably an even worser time. Thinking about your loved ones out here. What if they get sick? Your kids, your mom, your dad. But I share all of this with you guys because I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this. What do you think? So I really hope you guys will let me know. I also hope you enjoyed this video some kind of a way. Maybe you found it interesting. And if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know what you think. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!